and welcome to Season 3, Episode 28 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in ECW history with match number 23 on our list, which is the match between Rob Van Dam and Hardcore Holly from the ECW on SciFi episode that aired on September the 26th of 2006. So WWE ECW is going to be another, somewhat controversial match to include on this list, I'm sure. But since we're including everything ECW, and I've talked about this before, whether we like it or not, this is part of the ECW canon. And this match is fantastic. And it, got talk at the time that it happened for, one spot in particular. But that spot is so good and it adds so much to this match and makes the overall package so worthwhile that this match, watching it again in 2021, it absolutely blew me away with how good it is. And one thing that I want to state about this match too is it feels like an ECW match, a true to form ECW match. And that's done through the story of it, which sounds a little weird because, this is essentially, let's be honest, a WWE match happening, years after, let's be honest, ECW stopped existing. But the story that I took out of this match, even though it's not something that, was really, advertised as being the story here, is that you have Hardcore Holly. So this was a guy that, up until becoming Hardcore Holly, Bob Holly's a great worker, but, and I won't say that he was a comedy wrestler, a joke character, but I mean, Sparky Plug was, in that mid-90s, new generation, everybody's got a character sort of era, and, up until him becoming Hardcore Holly, he was a bit of a joke. So through the, he joined the Job Squad, and, had done the Brawl for All, where he kind of started to legitimize himself as being a bit of a tough guy. And then, he was inserted into the hardcore division that WWE was starting. ECW fans at the time had, a big resentment, I think, for WWF's hardcore division because it was trying to emulate ECW, wasn't exactly doing it well, and it eventually became a big joke, right? With the 24/7 rule in it. It's stuff that, made for entertaining enough television, and that's why WWE's tried to go back to the well with it with the 24/7 title, which, hasn't nearly, recaptured that magic of it. But it wasn't, the hardcore wrestling that I think fans were wanting to come from ECW. And the WWF would do, those hardcore style matches. I look at Triple H and Cactus Jack at Rumble 2000 as an example of it. But the actual hardcore division, I think maybe kind of felt like a bit of a slap in the face to ECW fans. And Hardcore Holly, was a huge focal point of that. So I think he as an individual is probably somebody that ECW fans at the time resented quite a bit. But the cool thing about ECW and the ECW arena was when wrestlers would come into ECW from outside of ECW, they weren't always given a chance off the hop, but if wrestlers worked, they would get that appreciation from the crowd. They had to earn the respect of that Philly crowd, of that ECW arena crowd. And that is something that Hardcore Holly did in this match. So I feel like if this match, took place in the, 99 or 2000 at the ECW arena, it would have been even more successful than it was here in 06. And it would have been something that would be considered one of the all-time great ECW matches. So that's why I include it here. In the early goings on, this is just a match. It's held under Extreme Rules, which a lot of those ECW matches were, which basically means, ECW style, anything goes. They do some okay work. It's nothing too exciting. But we get to the big spot where Hardcore Holly hits a suplex to Rob Van Dam over the ropes, off the ring apron, through a table on the floor. And that leads us into the first commercial break of the match. When we come back from commercial, we realize that Hardcore Holly's back has been completely opened up by that table. He has an absolutely nasty gash running almost the entire length of his back, and he is bleeding profusely from it. There's blood everywhere. It is disgusting. And that one cut alone brings this match to a completely other level. And I've talked before about blood being so effective in wrestling, and I'm going to give a really quick plug to Phil Schneider of the Death Valley Driver video review and Segunda Kaida's Way of the Blade book, which you can find on Amazon, which highlights 100 bloody matches in wrestling history. I got this as a present for Father's Day, and this book is incredible. I'm enjoying it so much, and it's worth a purchase. So there's a cheap plug for a product that's not mine. But anyways, the blood adds so much to this match. It makes everything after that seem so much more brutal, and it takes this performance of Hardcore Holly and it makes it such a gutsy performance, which is what I was talking about, where this guy that, you know, was hardcore, that maybe didn't really fit, you know, that real ECW style hardcore, you know, what that label would entail, but by gutting it out in this performance, it's everything that hardcore label entails, and it's a memorable performance. So after, you know, we come back from break, Holly's bleeding everywhere. They show the gash, they show how it happened. Very, you know, very visceral stuff. We get just spots galore with a chair. So Holly hits a hot shot into an open chair. He hits an Alabama jam off the top with a chair over Van Dam. RVD hits a suplex onto a chair, which sounds like such a basic spot, but the fact that he hit this suplex with this big open wound on Holly's back on a steel chair is just brutal, and it leaves blood all over it, and it's completely nasty. RVD hits you know, a lot of his signature stuff. He hits the rolling monkey flip, and you know, the rider kick off the top, and rolling thunder with a chair over Holly. But he goes to the well once too often. He goes for the rolling monkey flip with the chair, and Holly counters it into a power bomb on the chair, which was awesome. We get just another like really good spot where it kind of seems like we're going into the finish. RVD lays the chair over Holly, goes up top for the 5-star frog splash, and Holly just chucks the chair upward into Van Dam's head as he's coming off the top. It was brutal. Going into our finish, you know, Holly goes for the Alabama Slam, which is his finisher. RVD counters it into a sunset flip. Holly just proceeds to counter with a bunch of big punches. He goes for a chair, and what happens when you go for a chair shot against Rob Van Dam? He eats the Van Daminator, and a 5-star frog splash finishes here. So again, you know, this match is about Hardcore Holly. Rob Van Dam is great in it. He hits his signature stuff, he bumps well, everything we love about RVD, but he really is along for the ride. This is the Bob Holly show, this match, and it is a masterpiece of how effective, you know, blood in this, you know, event, unintentional blood, can bring a match to something just so special. I love this match. I wish it happened at the ECW arena in ECW's heyday, but it is what it is. Because it's WWE, though, of course, you can find it on the WWE Network. I'm sure this is probably available on Peacock. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.